Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome, coaches, to the preseason softball coaches webinar. Again, my name is Nick Anderson. I am a regional sports director for Special Olympics Maryland. I will also be serving as the staff liaison for softball. This will be my second year as the staff liaison with softball. Joining me on the call is Mike Sarnowski, Senior Director of Community Sports for Special Olympics Maryland, and also Rick McCauley, who is serving again as the venue director for softball, and Alan McCauley, who is, I guess we could say, being groomed to take over the venue director role from Rick. There we go. Okay, so for the agenda tonight, we're going to do some administrative stuff at the beginning. We're going to move into the coaches certification. Some of you who are basketball coaches will be aware of the coaches certification piece. It is not a new piece to Special Olympics Maryland, or to Special Olympics. It is now being newly enforced by Special Olympics Maryland, and Mike Sarnowski will go into a little more detail on that a little bit later. We will actually not cover forms as nothing has changed. It will be in the slide deck, so you can go ahead and look at any information you might have about, or any questions you might have about forms. You can go ahead and look at this information when the slide deck comes out. It'll be there. And then Alan and Rick will go ahead and take over, and we'll cover events offered and any rules and reminders.
This is Pam Gross. I just got on online and everything from Lower Shore.
Perfect. Thank you, Pam.
You're welcome.
Okay, so some summer games related deadlines. First off is the training registration deadline. That is on April 23rd. Rosters must be entered into GMS, so you must have all of your athletes, unified partners, coaches, and volunteers that are participating either within your softball program overall or on your specific team. They must be entered into GMS. So you would want to get in contact with your area's designated GMS person if you know who that is, and if you do not, then get in contact with your area director to find out when they want that information. Do not wait until the 23rd to contact them because that's the deadline that they need everything entered in. So make sure you contact them early so they can let you know when they need all that information. The next piece is team rosters and team assessments. Mike, should I go ahead and bring up the team assessment form now, or should we wait until after this slide?
Well, why don't you finish the deadlines and maybe do it right after that?
Okay. So there is a team assessment form that I'm going to go ahead and show everyone. That form will be completed and should be submitted via email back to me, Nick Anderson, at Special Olympics Maryland. Team rosters are set at that point. This form will calculate sort of an overall team score. If Megan Schaefer or Nancy Schmidt are on the call, it's essentially the same form that was used for USA games. I just made some slight tweaks to make it a little more user-friendly. So it's a good tool. It's just sort of a way to give us a starting point so we can sort of figure out where teams are going to fit throughout the season. Obviously, it won't take the place of divisioning or actually getting out and watching games, but it's just sort of a starting point like we have for, say, soccer or basketball. The next deadline is the last date to submit missing forms. That day is May 4th, and then all athletes must have a medical that is valid through summer games to be able to compete. And then all coaches, unified partners, and volunteers must have a valid volunteer application through summer games to be eligible to compete. And then, as I mentioned earlier, all head coaches must have a Special Olympics coach certification this year. May 18th is the competition registration deadline. That's where all of your rosters and all of the events that you will be competing in must be entered into GMS. Past that date, any athlete or unified partner that is not registered in an event or sport will be deleted. And then the last date does not apply to us as we do not have updated scores for softball. So let me pull up the team assessment form. So this document is a document that was used at USA Games as a way to assess teams. It seems confusing if you just look at it now, but it's laid out pretty well. It'll give you, for hitting, it'll say if an individual can do a certain thing, hit the ball a certain way, stand correctly, grip the bat correctly. You'll give them a score for that individual skill. And then we have 16 individual ones. You'll just have to enter the information on one of the individual sheets, and then that will auto-populate this overall summary assessment. And I will go back, I'll go to Form 16 here in a moment and just enter a blank one to show you, or a test one to show you. So put in John Smith. And then let's say John Smith is overall 5 for all of the scores.
And Nick, while you're filling that out, just as a note to folks, if you look at the descriptors either while they're on the screen right now or when you have a chance to review this when you receive it, these are things that you can do. You're not running them through a skill station to get the score. This is an assessment you can do based on your observations of your athletes. So even though you are assigning a number to it, it's not as laborious as it may initially.
And as you can see, so I've entered John Smith as the 16th person on my team. The form will autofill with John Smith, then all of his scores all the way across, giving you a total score and overall rating. And then at the end, it auto-calculates John Smith's overall score into the team total. So once everything's populated, you'll have a team total. Of course, if you don't have 16 athletes, the team total won't be properly reflected because it will still have all 16 people filled in. Once I receive forms, let's say you have 14 people, I'll delete the last 2 slots, and then that'll give you a true overall team rating. So the only things you would need to fill in yourself are for each of your athletes and partners is their jersey number, whether or not they are an athlete or partner, and then potentially date of birth. I haven't played around with it yet, but I might have it be able to calculate age or date of birth on its own. And then obviously you would need to populate the top of this form. But again, this is just sort of a tool that we're going to go ahead and try just to give us a starting point to see where all the teams are, just to better help you as coaches set up qualifiers or some play opportunities. Does anyone have any questions about this before I move on to anything else?
Yeah, this is Pam Gross.
Go ahead, Pam.
Yeah, well, I don't have jersey numbers.
What was that? Sorry.
Okay, and then I have another question.
No, Pam, I missed your first question. Sorry about that.
Oh, that first one was I don't have jersey numbers for the guys yet.
Yeah, if you don't have jersey numbers yet, that's fine. As I mentioned, this does not need to be submitted until the 23rd, until April 23rd. So that should give you enough time. And if then you also don't have jersey numbers, that's not a big deal. That is much less important than the overall scores.
Well, I was going to try to put together a unified team, but I can't do it with this timeline, so I'll just go back to what I was. Okay. That's fine. I'll just listen. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions about that document?
Hey, Nick, this is Nancy Schmidt.
Yep.
I just wanted to say I know Mike said we don't need to run them through skill stations, but it was really valuable to us last year to use that for looking at new people, too, and helping our athletes' parents understand why they were being placed on specific teams, too. So it was a valuable tool last year when we used it.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping. We're hoping it's not only just a useful tool for us at the state level to help just get some preliminary divisioning work done, but we're also hoping that it's something that will be useful to you. So then it's just not an exercise in futility for you as a coach to fill the form out.
Yeah, I say it was good for us, so good luck.
Thanks. Okay, if no one has any other questions, I will go ahead and move on. The next section is qualifying for state competition. Above all else, you must meet all training and competition registration requirements and deadlines. For softball, they must compete in the softball-specific required qualifier, which is May 17th at Kiwanis Wallace Park in Howard County. Excuse me. All teams must compete at a minimum of one additional qualifier. It must be a sanctioned qualifier. And if you are to want to host a qualifier, you have to. There's some requirements here that you have to meet in order for it to be a sanctioned event. You have to, one, submit a sanctioning form in advance to us and have us approve it. You must have certified umpires. You must follow all Special Olympics rules, and then you must submit the results to me, Nick Anderson, once your qualifier is completed. If there's any special needs or special circumstances, be certain that you get that information to your area director or area GMS manager so they can properly make that note in GMS. Okay, rosters and age groups. Once rosters are established, for the qualifier that ends, they cannot make any changes. If someone drops off, that's fine. But at that point, especially once we've passed the roster submission deadline, you can't add anyone onto your team. If someone drops after the roster submission deadline, please let not only your area director or area GMS person know, but please let me know as well, just so I can make a note that someone has dropped off of your team, especially if it is someone who is a key player on your team. Rosters must have a minimum of 12 people, a maximum of 16. Players who are 18 years of age at summer games or by summer games are eligible to play up into the young adult age group, provided that proper exemption request has been submitted to your area director. I won't read the rest of this.
Can we ask a question? I'm sorry.
Absolutely, you can ask a question. Go ahead.
On the 18 years of age, well, it'll be up to 21, I would think we need an exception, correct? So, the question is...
Yes.
Okay, is that by December 31st of this year?
So that would be 18 years of age and then up to 21. That is by summer games. So...
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions about that before I move on? As I mentioned before, in order for a qualifier to be considered a sanctioned qualifier, must follow all Special Olympics rules as well as ASA rules. You must have certified umpires. You must meet all appropriate uniform regulations. You must have a medical person on site, of course. And then you must complete the sanction form, get it to your area leadership, who will then submit it to we'll submit it to the state office.
Pam Gross.
Go ahead, Pam.
I hate to say this, but back a page when you were talking about two qualifiers.
Yes.
this past basketball season, when we had the one canceled because of the snow and all that stuff, and then we had to make up that one, and it ended up that my team played, and I know everybody else did too, back-to-back weekends, 3 weekends in a row. And then you say, well, we want you to, qualify with this many athletes and do this and that. Well, my athletes all had Sunday off from work, but then I qualified on a Saturday, so I didn't have my full team. And there were other people who didn't have their full team. I mean, it made it fair in a way, but it's still, I try to get people switched from one team before anybody ever saw them. So Elton's team could have another athlete, and the answer was no. I know there are rules, but nobody had ever seen the team before. What difference would it make? It wasn't a strong player. It just would have given him an extra player, so he, wasn't down. But I mean, there's just lots of little things that, the 3 weekends in a row, and then, I mean, I just want Mike to hear this and know, everybody needs to know that not everybody, but it needs things that need to be considered. I mean, since it was part of that whole 3 weekends in a row thing, really, I mean, that's a lot of time and effort for people who are volunteering for, and I know we're volunteering, but nobody wants to come to the Eastern Shore for a qualifier. They don't even like coming in for soccer, except that we have some of the best facilities. But that means we have to travel everywhere and leave early. Luckily, we didn't have to leave early for some of them because they were in the afternoon, but state tournament was early. Oh, okay. Thank you very much for listening with my bad voice and cold.
Of course, Pam. Yeah, this winter was definitely not the most ideal situation with the weather. It definitely did affect the qualifier schedule. Hopefully, I don't see how we could be as negatively affected. Of course, if it rains or thunderstorms, that would affect the softball qualifier. But hopefully, we won't run into a similar situation this coming spring and into the early summer. As everyone can see, these are the currently scheduled softball qualifiers. If your area is looking to host a qualifier or has maybe just a tentative one in mind, please let us know as soon as possible. And as soon as you have anything definite set, please submit a sanction form and let us know as soon as possible. As you can see, there's only currently 3 qualifiers outside of the required qualifier.
And Nick, just 2 points on this. One, for the required qualifier on May 17th, it's hosted by Howard County. Registration will be handled for anybody who has submitted their team assessment. We'll just take it from that and provide that to the Howard County crew. There's no additional requirement for that. Other than skills athletes, this would be for teams that we would take care of. Additional steps would need to be provided, and Howard County, I'm sure, will provide that information at that time. Also, later this week, we will send out our sports calendar that typically goes out to all area directors and area leaders. We'll include in that distribution all coaches. The most recent one is always available on my SOMD as well, but that will have the contact information for any of the qualifiers as well, and whether they're still open or if they're full or whatever, at least as of the time that the sports calendar is published. So, thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. Next would be the pre-competition webinars. If you note here, the softball pre-competition webinar is Tuesday, May 26th at 9 p.m. The slide deck will be sent out, so you can pull the link directly off of this page, and I would encourage all coaches to sign up now so you don't have to worry about it in late May as we approach that date. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mike. Mike, I'll still run the slide deck for you, and Mike will go over the head coach certification.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. When we send out the deck here, we'll include the link to the recorded webinar. We had done 5 webinars, at least 5, on the head coach or the coach certification between November and January or February. We're not going to go in depth in this here. I just want to make a couple highlights. As Nick had indicated, the coach certification has been a requirement that Special Olympics has had for at least 25 years. Maryland has not actively enforced this for quite some time for a number of reasons, but some situations have changed. We're now able to track it much better and can have some, are moving to where we're confident in terms of the accuracy of the information that we've got. Additionally, the means by which folks can or coaches can renew their certification has really tremendously expanded in terms of the number of different opportunities. So we're looking forward to doing this. All coaches who are registered for anything in 2014 received this information. If you don't remember it or you need more in-depth than we'll cover tonight, again, use the link to one of the recorded webinars. Again, we'll provide that with this when the deck goes out here. And you can go back and listen and get tons of information there. So again, we're enforcing it now. It applies at the moment. It applies to all head coaches. We started this with basketball this year, and it applies to all head coaches now for summer games. For as far as softball is considered, you need a specific head coach for each softball team. So if you have 4 softball teams, you need 4 head coaches. Again, they're the named coach for each team. We strongly encourage folks to get, even if they aren't the head coach, to go ahead and renew their certification or get their certification now, because in the fairly near future, possibly as early as next year, 2016, we will be enforcing this for all coaches. The actual policy from Special Olympics International and Special Olympics North America is that all coaches in all sports must be certified, and we're phasing it in with head coaches, but folks may as well go ahead and look at doing that. Your certification is good for 3 years, and again, we sent out back in November or December a listing of at least what we had on record of all the courses people had taken and the status of any certifications that we had on record. We'll send an updated version of that out to folks this week, along with a listing of all the learning opportunities. We'll highlight a few in a slide or two here. And this is just a smattering of the opportunities. In the stuff that will go out will have a much more in-depth explanation and listing of all the different opportunities that are there. But there are in-person sessions, there are live webinars, there are online courses that Special Olympics even offers a subsidy for to cover part of the cost, as well as some other learning opportunities that we can talk about that are reviewed in those webinars in depth and will be covered in the information. So, Nick, you want to go to the next slide, please? Thank you, sir. So there's 2 different categories of folks. If you have a previous Special Olympics sports certification in softball, and we will even count if you attended a softball training session at some point in the past, even if you didn't go through and fill the paperwork out and get officially certified, we're still counting if you attended the course, because that is now actually the new standard for certification, that if you've attended the course, whatever, there's no practicum that's required anymore. So if you have attended a course previously or had a certification previously for softball, you can renew that certification by taking either a general content or general course, and you'll see some in a slide or so, or taking an additional softball-specific learning opportunity or learning course. If you have never been certified in softball or taken a softball course from Special Olympics, there's 2 parts that you need to do. One, and this is for all new coaches, this applies to all sports for folks, you need to either complete Coaching Special Olympics Athletes or Principles of Coaching. Both are general courses on how to coach individuals, coach sports for individuals with intellectual disabilities. So take one or the other of those. and then a softball-specific session as well. As we noted, we're starting with head coaches now. It's going to apply to all coaches at some point in the future, so may as well go ahead and get rolling on that. The note at the bottom there is being rolled out this year a new requirement from Special Olympics North America and Special Olympics International that all coaches have completed concussion training every 3 years. We will be sharing the details of how we'll be implementing that and tracking that with area directors. We have an area directors meeting on April 18th. After we share that with the area directors and get some feedback from them, we will share that information with the rest, or with all the coaches thereafter. This is being rolled out throughout the course of the year. Our requirement from Special Olympics North America is that we complete this by December 31st. So it will not affect, if you don't get your concussion training completed before or during the softball season, there's still an opportunity to do so before the end of the year. After December 31st, it's going to be required for anybody who's coaching in any sport. So and that applies to all coaches, not just head coaches. Again, we'll have more information on that after we share and meet with the area directors on the 18th. Nick, you want to go to the next? Here's a listing of some of the different courses that we're offering that are available. Coaching Special Olympics is available live. On the next slide, you'll see where you can do it as an online course. We're also offering what we call a Master Coaches Learning Session. There's one slotted right now for April 13th. This is for very experienced coaches. The minimum requirement is at least 5 years of experience, but you really need to be very well versed in the sport as well as Special Olympics. To participate, it requires the endorsement and the approval of your area director. Basically what this is, we're doing it for softball, for cheerleading, for athletics, and we may do it for the 2 other sports as well. But it's basically the opportunity, the participants here need to come to this session prepared to discuss how they deal with a variety of different situations, and it's basically learning from each other. So we'll gather some challenges and share those on the thing that goes out later this week. We'll have the listing of how you can participate. I know several coaches, their area directors have already voiced the interest in having them participate. We did this with one group for basketball with some moderate success, and we think it's one of the things we want to add to the palette of opportunities for coach training. As is noted down below, we are looking to take these trainings out to the field, as opposed to everybody coming into Towson or to the Baltimore area. We had significant success with that with basketball, and we're going to continue that. If your area is interested in hosting a training session, either coaching Special Olympics athletes or something specific to softball, we'd certainly be interested. Talk to your regional sport director. Their contact information and their territories are later in the deck. All we ask is that we need the physical space to do it. It can be in a classroom. The coaching Special Olympics athletes can be in a classroom or a meeting room, and that we have at least 5 to 7 participants. Anything less than that, it really the nature of the courses and the trainings just doesn't work with smaller classes. So again, contact your regional sport directors. Then last slide, again, is these are some of the online opportunities. These are offered by ASEP, which is the American Sport Education Program. These are all online courses. They're self-paced. It's a combination of reading and interactive exercises. I can't speak for all of these. I do know that most of them are quite good. Special Olympics Maryland will subsidize $20 for each course. That's here, and we'll have, and the stuff that you'll get later this week, it'll have that detailed and the process for that. The subsidy is provided as a reimbursement after you have successfully completed the course. So you need to have actually gone through and passed the course, and then you can submit for a reimbursement. Some areas, I should point out, some areas also provide the additional subsidy. I don't want to list them all here. But there may be the opportunity to get additional there. You'll notice there's 2 softball courses. One, the Special Olympics Maryland subsidy will cover the full cost. Coaching Special Olympics athletes is there listed also as well as for an online option. So there's a number of different opportunities here. And again, look for more details. And I will pass it back to you.
Okay, again, in case you aren't aware, here is a list of who your regional sports director is. It's either myself for the eastern half of the state, eastern and southern. Whoops, what did I just do? There we go. Melissa Anger for western and central Maryland, and then Sam Bodep for the Baltimore area. Medicals and volunteer forms. I'm just going to go ahead and breeze right past this since most of you are aware of the requirements and the paperwork. You can see the medical form. Yep.
This is Ruth from Frederick County. Can we kind of
Hey,
go
Ruth.
back a page or two?
Back to page 2.
Yeah, whenever you're talking about the master's training for softball and stuff for the coaches, that type of training, is that geared strictly for traditional or is that for unified?
It's for the
How do you
sport.
break that down?
It doesn't matter. It's the sport of softball.
The sport of softball.
Yep.
But aren't there different rules that apply to each?
Not really. It's really the difference in rules is the composition of your team. So unlike player development unified or anything like that, where there are specific different rules, the rules of softball are essentially the same for unified as opposed to traditional. It's just your composition of your team.
So whenever you have these courses, you would break it down a little and explain to the coaches or have them well aware of the difference between the two, so when they go back to their counties, they can educate their coaches better?
Well, in all honesty, if the coach is not aware of that difference at that stage, then the master coach's course is not appropriate for that person. Again, the master coaches are for people who have significant expertise in the sport.
Right, but for these people that come to this, that have the expertise, for them to go back and to bring new coaches on board, I know they need to know the breakdown real good, but I just want to make sure that everybody kind of understands there's a little bit of difference, and I'm kind of getting the feeling some people don't really know.
We can certainly add that as a point to cover. The whole point behind the master coaches sessions is to take an example of, I've got an athlete who is having difficulty learning when to on running the bases. What are some strategies that the other coaches are using to train that athlete in that aspect of the sport? Or I have an athlete who can't decide, is having difficulty deciding where the play is going. How do you train your athlete in terms of where so that they know and can execute the play if the ball comes to them out defensively out in the field? It's those kind of things that we'll be talking through and sharing drills, sharing how they approach that issue. A lot of times there's no right answer. It's kind of talking through and what works for who, and hopefully everybody walks away with 3 or 4 good ideas.
Oh, okay then. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay. Moving right along. Again, as I mentioned, forms, we're just going to go ahead and breeze over this section real quick. The medical form, the volunteer application, the student minor reference form, and then the incident report if there's an accident or an injury at practice. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and hand this over to Alan and Rick McCauley to handle it from here on out.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, everybody, for dropping in. Go through the rest of this, and then we'll field any questions you may have over the whole course. States for the events for the state competition, same as last year, individual skills, traditional slow pitch for traditional teams, unified, and keep in mind athletes may only participate on one team in any of the competitions. Some rules and reminders. Profanity, abusive language. We will not use the 5-run maximum inning rule at all this year in any of our events. Batters will start with a 0-0 count with no courtesy foul. The second foul ball will be considered a strikeout. Actually, that would be the third with a 0-0 count. Once you get the second foul, or the second strike, the next foul ball will be the out.
But this is George Fryman in Anne Arundel. So it's in red there. That's a brand new rule for this year, right?
Yes, it's a rule change through ASA.
Okay.
Run-ahead rule will be in effect 15 runs after 4 or 12 runs after 5. Okay, if the coach assists the runner by touching the runner will be declared out. That's the same thing we've had. It keeps coming up in different times. Coaches cannot touch players. It's basically the rule. A runner assisting a runner, there are other different qualifications as to when they can, how they can, but a coach can never touch a runner. Right?
Rick, this is Mike. Could you just, for clarification, I'm sorry, backing up three bullets, can you give the 30-second explanation of the run-ahead rule?
Run-ahead, if the team at bat is if either team at the end of the inning is 15 runs up after 4 innings, that will be the end of the game. All right? If either team is up 12 runs after the 5 innings or 6, that will end the game. Meaning if the home team is up 14 in the bottom of the 4th, scores a run, that then ends the game. The same in the 5th inning. If the home team is up 11 and scores a run, that will then end the game. Okay. We've had those rules in the past. We're just going over them again for your benefit. Coaches will be required to stay within the boundaries of the coach's box. Again, yeah, our fields may not have them. We know the general areas. It's when you start encroaching onto the playing field, when you get real close to that base. It's obvious you're out of the box. The purpose of this is going back to coaches can't touch runners. If the runner runs past the base and runs into you, the umpire can deem that as you assisting a runner because you've stopped how far he would have gone out of play, therefore affecting the play. If you're back within the boundaries of the coach's box, there are less chances of that happening. So even though we don't have the actual box lined out, keep back away from the play and it'll keep us all safe.
So Rick, just to clarify, on the, if you go back that one slide, please. On the rule on the coach touching the runner, I would assume this is during a live ball situation?
Yes.
Okay. And so on a dead ball, it's not in existence?
No, but if you're going to approach the runner, I'd at least tell the umpire.
Right, okay.
Okay?
Sure.
Okay, Nick. Again, general rules of competition. I'm not going to go through all the specifics. If you need a courtesy runner, we allow them. Again, the health issues are the main purpose of this. Doesn't impact substitution rule. The individual is the last player to make an out. Right, again, in unified, the last player of that ability, be it a Special Olympics traditional athlete, would be the last Special Olympics traditional athlete to make an out. If it's a unified, the last unified partner that made the out. All right. Can be used also for catcher on base when there are 2 outs, so the catcher can come in and get his gear on. Substitutions permitted, national government body, ASA, and Special Olympics rules. Again, if the player is available, we'll allow them to re-enter on unlimited basis where emergency requirements. Okay. Nick. The game consists of 7 innings, time limit of no more than 1 hour and 30 minutes. All right, 1 hour and 30 minutes. The umpire should be telling you when we start getting close to that, and it will be no new inning at the end of that period. Time allotments are subject to change due to schedule restrictions. We've had that in the past where weather caused us to change some schedules, gave us less time available, so we did have to restrict the time allowed for each of the games. Again, if we reach that time limit in the middle of an inning, the game will continue until that inning is complete. Games are tied at the completion of duration. Teams continue to play complete innings until a winner is determined.
So just to clarify on this, there's a slight change here in that in the past, no new inning began after 1 hour and 15 minutes. So are we going to go to 1:30 now for a new inning?
Yeah, I wasn't sure the 1:15 unless that was the change we made for that specific competition.
No, that's how it's been at States every year except for the rain year.
Okay, I have to go back and look. I'd always thought we were 90 minutes, but
No,
yeah.
Yeah, the game is 90 minutes, but no new inning after 1:15 in the past.
No, again, it should be 90 minutes. If it's 89 minutes, we're approaching and we get the last out, that next inning should start.
Good. Okay.
Okay. Now, again, that's sometimes the difference between what the coaches have and what the umpire has and the scorer back at the table has. That will be umpire's judgment. That's one of his determinations.
Yeah, so the umpire should be the only person keeping the official time.
Hi, this is Frank Grau. I think that other guy was right. During the state competitions, all games were 75 minutes, and they were scheduled every hour and a half in the past.
Okay, Rick, we can go back and look at that and get that information back out to folks, just a clarification on that. And sorry for the confusion on this, but we'll verify and get that out to you guys.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, this is Pam Gross.
Yes, ma'am.
And the year that we had all the rain,
Uh-huh.
and we had to shorten the games,
Yes?
and you had it, I don't know how it worked, but you called it something because my team did not get their last steps in an inning, and we were coming back. So you called it something,
Yeah, we call it drop dead.
drop dead. But
Yes. Again, because of the rain, we had so many hours to get the games in. If we were to allow them to continue beyond that, we would have risked losing complete games because of that. Again, that's one of those time allotments are subject to change due to schedule restrictions.
I understand that, but I'm still it's very upsetting that you don't get your last steps when you're.
It's upsetting to all of us, Pam, but when we have 3 hours to get 3 games in, letting you get a complete inning in would then mean the next team gets 2 innings less than you had, perhaps. It's not a situation where anyone's going to win. It's just that's what we're stuck with, and that's the way we have to do it in order to get anything in.
So can we add a statement then, Rick, that the umpire keeps the official time so there's no misunderstanding it?
The umpire always has the official everything. We have a timer and a scorer back behind there to assist them. The communication should be between the umpire and the timer, or the umpire and the scorer for any questions about what's going on there. But the umpire is the official at the game. Also, on all score sheets, at the start of the game, the umpire will announce the start time, and that start time is written on the top of the official score sheets. So, okay, complete innings must be played unless the team's second at bat, the home team, scores the required number of runs while at bat. Again, if it's before the 4th inning and they score the 15th run at the bottom of their at bat, that ends the game. Again, if the visiting team scores the necessary number of runs in the top, the home team would have the opportunity to bat in the bottom. And that's no change. Again, appeal plays. Coaches or player must request an appeal from the umpire. The umpire can not make a decision until requested. Those are runners missing bases, tag-ups, varying plays that an umpire may see it but cannot call it until an appeal is made. The specific appeal plays haven't changed for years, so it's not anything new.
So I hate to be a stickler, but what's not stated there is the appeal has to be made prior to the next pitch being made.
Well, that's correct, but again, we don't have time to put all the rules in, so we're trying to highlight some of them. And the appeals should be made by SO rules by the coach. Okay, the coach should be the one communicating with the umpires. Okay, uniform rules are pretty much the same. Go down to all batters and base runners and on-deck batters must wear a batter's helmet. Chin straps are not required, and it is recommended that the coaches wear a helmet, especially when you're using an athlete as a coach. Catchers must have helmet with mask and throat protector. Chest protector and shin guards are recommended but not required. Okay. Everything else we have in there we've done the past few years. If you have a certain requirement for physical restrictions, let the umpire know. Okay. The umpire should go through the bats and pull out any on the non-approved bat list and let the coaches know to take that bat out of play and out of the area. Restricted blank ball, core 52-300 will be used. That's the same as we used last year. Nick? Again, the scoring plate, we should all be used to it. You have a second home plate 8 feet from the first, and a separate line directing the runner to the scoring plate. The catcher cannot touch the scoring plate. The runner cannot touch the traditional plate. Okay. Okay, Nick? Again, just a diagram of that setup. Okay, we went through some of that a little quickly. Any other questions?
So, Rick, this is Bob Golden again. Last year at States, we had a little bit of a controversy on implementation of the rule at home plate where the catcher, makes a play. What do they call it? The
Equal participation?
Yeah, the involvement rule. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And you and I had a discussion on the side, but I think it needs to be stated for everybody in that.
Yeah, it's not just home plate, Bob, so thanks for bringing that up. Again, the theory, the process, and the rule of equal involvement, the biggest problem is at home plate when we tend to put our least capable athlete as the catcher. Then we have a runner coming towards the plate, and the pitcher or the first baseman tends to run down to make that play at the plate. Equal involvement says that catcher's there, it's his position. If another player wants to come and back them up or assist them, that's fine. But to get in front of them to make the play is what we want to prohibit. All right? The same problem is happening at shortstop and second and in the outfields. Now, again, if there's a play where you have an outfielder that runs into another area and makes a play, okay, we can handle that. But if it happens every time, then that's obviously that player playing two positions and not allowing the other athlete to participate. What we will do is go to the coach. The umpire should approach the coach, let him know that that's a concern. If it continues, he will grab one of us who will come up to the coach and make a determination of how we're going to deal with it. Again, our purpose is everyone's on the team. Everyone gets a chance to play and play equally.
So the situation that happened in our game was that the pitcher made a play on a ground ball. There was a force out at home. And the pitcher, his momentum carried him towards home plate, and he made the force out himself. And that was considered fine, and, that's...
Right, because, yep. Again, we're not going to change the way you coach and your players making plays. If that happens 4 times in a row and the catcher's standing there waiting for the ball to be tossed to him, that's when we see that we have a problem.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Thanks for bringing that up, Bob.
Sure.
Any other questions? Anything else we need to bring up?
I was wondering, this is Nancy from Harford County. Last year there was talk about a skills level game. I was wondering if there's been any discussion about that again this year.
This is Rick Baker from Howard County. I'd like to talk about that.
I'm not coaching the skills level team, but yes, we would like to talk to you. Okay.
Mike?
Yeah, we certainly can do that again. does any? I guess the question I would have. Does any? I don't think there's any teams that have a sufficient number of skills athletes to put a team on the field by themselves. If that, or am I wrong? I mean, I realize that you're at the beginning of the season, but it's unlikely that anybody has enough skills athletes to put a team on the field.
We are usually close, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to check our numbers.
And Mike, here in Howard County, we're not at that point.
Right.
In another year or two, I might be there, but I'm still going to need coaches to help give direction on the field.
Right.
Well,
It would be PDU.
Yeah, we would certainly have to supplement that with coaches. But where I'm going with that is, so I think what we can do is similar to what we did at the Howard County qualifier, and was the intention, although I wasn't there, but I heard it didn't really come off as well as we had hoped at the state event.
Yeah, fortunately, we offered it at the state event, but at the end of the day, it just didn't materialize.
Right, but if we can get a commitment from the coaches and have it set that is part of the skills team's experience, we certainly would want to do that. And what we'd have to do likely is combine a couple counties together to make one team and a couple other counties together to make another team. For those of you who weren't there at the Howard County event where we kind of tested a very successful test run of this, it was the team out on the field was a combination of athletes and coaches or other volunteers, and it was sort of a pseudo player development approach. We don't have rules set for player development for softball, but it was sort of getting that game experience in. And again, I saw the one that was held at Howard County. I think we actually have video of that too. If anybody's interested, we can post that. But it was really beneficial for the athletes. It gave them a much different experience than the skills does, and we certainly would like to do that. As Nick indicated, it didn't quite come off as much as well at the state games, but we can set that at maybe an earlier time. I'm not sure why everybody was leaving, whether it was just they were tired, but if we can go with a different time and.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, at the end of the day, it was just the fact that it was a full day of skills competition at that point, and there was just a number of athletes and coaches, I believe, that were just tired from the full day of competition. So maybe moving it to the middle or earlier in the day might be a good option.
Okay.
Nick and Mike, while we have most of the coaches on the phone tonight,
sure.
Are there any other counties other than Howard and Harford who have skills level player development type teams that are at that 10 or 12 to 18 level that might be interested in participating with or competing with Harford and or Howard County?
Baltimore County has, I think last year we had 8 or 9 skills athletes. But I think it was Bob said that by the end of the day, they're pretty much done. So if we did do a game, we might want to do something earlier rather than at the very end.
I'm talking about maybe in addition to Kiwanis-Wallace on the 17th of May, having another qualifier before states.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm just putting it out there in case there's Baltimore County, Montgomery County, whomever. We're open to that idea.
Possibly, depending on when it is.
Okay, we'll work on that.
Okay.
But this is Michelle from Baltimore County. I did have a question, though, in reference to the qualifiers. There were 2 listed on the same day from Montgomery County. What is the difference?
The difference is in the level. Jim Downs has his qualifier at Good Counsel, and I'm Bob Golden. I have mine at Montgomery College. So the one at Montgomery College, we've already invited the teams. They're typically high-level traditional. So Howard, Harford, and Frederick will be competing.
Okay, so then the other venue would be an opportunity for lower-level teams to attend.
It's a lower level. Yeah, the issue we have there is the duration, the amount of time we have the field available. Jim, are you on the phone? Probably not. Okay. I would say that if you're interested, send one of us an email, and we'll at least get it to Jim for consideration.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. When the calendar comes out, again, we're looking at Friday with this. It'll have all the contact information and such there.
So was that Nick talking about the qualifier, Doctor?
It's Bob Golden on the Montgomery qualifier.
Oh, I'm calling Bob. This is Pam from Lower Shore.
Hi.
I'm not really sure how high the team is going to be from Lower Shore. I'll tell you the truth, I would really like to make a unified team, but we won't have a level one. It would be like Division 2 team. I don't know if I want to. We'll have to play level 1 teams and then get smashed. Maybe I should send it. Who do I need to send information to? I'm sorry, Bob.
I'm sorry, Pam. Do you want to send information?
Yes.
I think the high level will be probably too high for what you have at the moment. And then with Jim's.
I'm sorry.
Again, Friday, when Mike sends out the schedule of all of those, he'll have all the contact information for each of those, Pam, and at that point you'll have who you get in touch with for the other one on that.
I just want to make sure that we get,
Sure.
Yeah. Also, after Nick gets all the assessments in and the rosters from that, I don't know if you saw it on the slide there, but he will be sending out to everybody a listing of all the teams with their self-assessment and the contact information there, so that you can potentially schedule some individual games between teams, potentially a home and away. So similar to what we sent out for basketball, the one for basketball came out a little bit later than we would have liked. So Nick's getting set to do that much quicker turnaround for this.
Yeah, I hope to have a very quick turnaround, preferably within 3 or 4 days once we receive that.
Yep.
Can we talk about certifications for a second, Mike?
Sure.
So, I understand the requirement to get a head coach certified. I can understand assistant coaches to a certain level. There are assistant coaches that are key to the operation of the team. They're at virtually every practice. They coach the bases, all those types of things. So I can see the need to get those folks certified. But there are also volunteers who are probably new to the sport year over year. I know I've got 2 or 3 new people coming on this year. And they're not there for every practice. To force people, it won't be this year, but it'll be next year probably, to force everybody to become certified is going to get to the point where it's intrusive on their time, and they're just not going to bother getting involved. These folks have already submitted all the paperwork and gone through the background checks. But, I just want to make sure that we're not making it a burden.
Right. For a brand new, I have to go back and double check the policy, but for a brand new coach, not a head coach, where they have the full responsibility for the team, but for a brand new coach, I think there's actually a 2 or 3 season period within which they have to get their certification. So that they've got some experience there, which I think is a reasonable time frame. Basically, it ensures that everybody who is working with our athletes and taking some level of responsibility working with the athletes and calling themselves a coach, or that we're calling a coach, has some base level of knowledge there. But even if I didn't agree with it, that is the policy that we need to adhere to as set down by Special Olympics International and Special Olympics North America.
Now, quick question though, Bob. From what you were describing, it sounded like you met maybe not necessarily someone that calls himself an assistant coach, but more of someone that's there just to assist, maybe with some minor.
Yeah, I have them.
A minor role.
Right.
A volunteer.
Yeah.
No,
Here,
they're on the field. They're assisting with drills. All right, but I can tell them specifically what drills I want them to run and show them
Sure.
how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if they're there as a volunteer, while we certainly would encourage them to take advantage of that, the requirement only applies to someone who is labeled or is named as a coach. So, and we have in GMS, we have had for at least the last year and a half, you can register people as volunteers in your sports program as opposed to being coaches.
Okay, good.
So yeah, sorry if I missed that point as you were talking through, but yeah.
Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Okay, as an aside, as we go through this process towards competition, I am looking at some possible surgery coming up. So at some point, Alan may take over some of my duties. I will be there. Things aren't drastic, but I'm just not sure how mobile I'll be at some time. So if you receive an email from Alan, it's the same as getting it from me, and we'll all work together to accomplish this, as well as Nick. So thanks for your time. If there aren't any other questions, look forward to seeing you during the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. If anybody's celebrating, I'm sure many are, a holiday later this week, have a happy festive holiday and with family and friends, and we'll look forward to seeing you throughout the season. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.